Well, Smarty Jones, the fans see him as the overwhelming favorite here. You hear some applause behind us, by the way, as they see the jockeys make their way down the steps. Mike Smith there, Jerry Bailey. And let's go to our handicappers, Mike and Bob.
Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Lionheart was my pick in the Derby, ran well, a good second. But if there's any room on the Smarty bandwagon, can you pencil me in about a little square foot that I can jump on? I mean, the price is ridiculous, Mike, but we got to be on him.
It really is, and I'm on the bandwagon, too. And, you know, he's won 7 in a row. And while I don't think you can call him a great horse yet, I think he has the capabilities of being a great horse. And the reason I say this is that Smarty Jones doesn't need any help to win his races. Take a look at the Arkansas Derby. In the Arkansas Derby, he breaks from the outside post. There's not a lot of speed in here. Look at Stuart Elliott. He has to gun this horse. He really uses this horse early on because he knows there's not a lot of speed inside. There was a horse named Purge in here. He had to go out and run with him, and he does it. He actually gets in front before they get to the first turn. I thought he was a speed horse. That's why I didn't think he could win the Kentucky Derby. Look at him here in the Derby. Pace is a little bit quicker. There's horses all around him. Stuart Elliott just takes hold of the horse. He keeps his position, holds his position great, but he doesn't feel the need to gun this horse and go up after the early lead. He's content to sit back behind, and that's what I mean when I say doesn't need any help. If the pace is slow, he's going to go out there. If the pace is fast, he can sit back off of that pace.
And the stretch drive in the Derby was marvelous, wasn't it? Lionheart and Smarty, eyeball to eyeball as they turned for home. And it was memorable indeed, and I think that some people believe that they can run this exacta right back 1-2. I don't know. It's a deep track, and that may play against Lionheart in this race, Mike. I don't think there's any question about that.
The late runners are running much better than the early speeders right now at this point in time.
And people want to talk about the new faces. We mentioned Eddington at the top of the broadcast, but I think Rock Hard 10 deserves a good hard look for that nice run in the Santa Anita Derby. I mean, he's a beautifully bred horse, lightly raced, only 3 races. We're going to look at the stretch drive here at Churchill. This was 2 weeks ago, and Lionheart is cooked by then. And this gave Smarty, believe it or not, 7 wins at 7 different distances at 4 different racetracks. If he wins today, that'll be 8 different distances. So, I mean, how can you play against him?
You really can't. I cannot pick against this horse, even at 3 to 5. I don't have any trouble picking him. I just hate picking the same horse you pick.
Well, hey, listen. Last year, I was lucky enough to pick the exacta with $12 of fun. This year, I'm going with 8 is enough. $8 is enough, and that is the exacta box of Smarty and Rock Hard 10, the exacta box of Smarty and Long Shot Borrego. And let's see if we can hit this thing for $8.
I kind of think Imperialism is going to run big. I think that the way this track's playing, I already mentioned that the early runners were not faring too well. Imperialism will be flying at the end. That's my exacta. Smarty and Imperialism.
2 votes for Smarty Jones, Tom Hammond.
All right, guys, there's a look at Imperialism. And Imperialism, we're told, lost a shoe on the way over. And they have a blacksmith standing by, and he will have to be reshod. They'll delay things until we get Imperialism all squared away. I hope he wasn't stable next to the cliff's edge. That's sort of a losing shoes thing is contagious. Well, if Smarty Jones had any idea what he had to carry, both Mike and Bob today, he couldn't do it. But I have to add to the problems because I don't see anybody else I could pick either. I have to pick Smarty Jones as well. I underestimated him before the Derby. He convinced me with his run there. What about you?
Well, I think Smarty Jones is absolutely the horse to beat. He's done nothing wrong. How can you go against him? But just for fun, let's look for something that's a little bit more of a price. We've got a horse here with absolute raw talent. We don't really know a lot about him. Rock Hard 10. To win this race off of only 3 prior starts, he'd have to be a super horse. But there are a lot of people who think he might be. He broke his maiden the same day that Imperialism won the San Vicente, going the same distance, and he did it in exactly the same time.
Now, are you picking Rock Hard 10 or Smarty Jones?
Well, I'm picking an. Newmeyer got a. He got an exacta ticket. Can I have a ticket to go both ways on
but
these
who
2
on top?
horses?
Who's on top?
We'll put Smarty on top, and we'll put Rock Hard 10 on bottom.
It was a struggle. Maybe I can get a straight answer from Bob.
Well, Tom, you have tapped into a very shallow well of expertise when you turn to me for a pick. Smarty Jones, though, is too easy. I've been talking to some of the wise guys. They tell me this is a good day for a closer. Therefore, I'm picking Imperialism or Mariano Rivera, one or the other. And if you don't like it, take it up with this guy over here. Tom?
All right, Kenny Rice.
Hey, Tom. I'm here with Kristen Mulhall. Imperialism is being shooed right now. We're back in the indoor paddock. What happened out there, Kristen?
He was walking around in a circle and he grabbed a hold of his shoe and just sprung it right off. So we're just packing it back on really quick.
Well, he seems to be standing calm. It's the left front.
Yeah, it's the left front. He's very calm. He's taking it all easy.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Tom, we continue to wait here while the blacksmith's doing his job. You can see Kristen Mulhall is very calm. I do think that as far as a pick today, I'm going to stick with Lionheart. I know I'm going against the grain that speed will hold up on a track that's been a little deeper than usual, but the horse has been there in every single race. I think this is the day that he gets there.
All right, so a pick for Lionheart, a contrarian in our midst. Log on to NBCSports.com to make your selection. Patrick Biancone, he'll be saddling Lionheart today. Right now, things held up a moment while they re-put the shoe on Imperialism. On the track just a few moments ago when he was inside, the blacksmith was reapplying a shoe to his left front foot. Earlier, walking in a circle, he had stepped on the shoe with his back foot, prying it off, and now it's being reapplied. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
And Nick, Zito knows what it's like for a horse to lose a shoe. It's easy for a horse to throw a shoe. It happened at a good time for Imperialism.
Yeah, I'm glad that Kristen had a chance to put it back on right now, and she handles herself well. I just told my assistants she does a good job.
And what about the Cliff's Edge? Can he be ready for the Belmont?
It looks that way, Mike. I mean, right now, what I saw this afternoon, but we keep our fingers crossed because you know those things are day to day, minute to minute. I hope so.
And Sir Shackleton's looking great. Good luck to you in this race, Nick. Tom?
All right, Mike. Sir Shackleton is number 6, owned by Tracy Farmer, trained by Nick Zito, and Royal Assault won the Sir Barton Stakes early on the card for them. There's a look at Chappie Chapman and Pat Chapman, the owners of Smarty Jones. Remember Chappie with emphysema, confined to his wheelchair. And there's Smarty Jones. Kent DeSormo now talking to Kristen Mulhall. He's the rider of Imperialism, who had the shoe reapplied. Patrick Biancone has to be worrying about this racing surface at Pimlico, which has been very tiring for the speed horses the last couple of days. Yesterday, even worse than today, perhaps. Bob Newmeyer.
Kristen Mulhall, can you tell us what happened?
He was just walking around out here and he stepped on a shoe and yanked it off, so we just had to tack a new one on.
Good as new?
It's good as new.
All right, good luck, Kent.
That's a cheap way to get free shoes, huh?
DeSormo and Kristen Mulhall nervously awaiting Imperialism. Riders up shortly.
All right, paddock judge Shane Burke giving the call of riders up here for the 129th Preakness. And as the riders mount, we'll have the call to the post by the bugler and then the singing of Maryland, My Maryland.
Thank you, Lou.
All right. Always a pleasure.
Try to hurry back here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's the idea.
He was a prince.
All right,
Good
Jack.
luck.
Good to see you, huh?
Yeah.
Waiting for the riders up on their Smarty
now
Jones.
Assembled in the infield winner's circle is the U.S. Naval Academy Barbershop Quartet, who will sing Maryland, My Maryland.
Thou wilt not cower in the dust, Maryland, my Maryland, thy gleaming sword will never rust. Maryland, my Maryland, remember Carol's sacred trust, remember Howard's warlike crust, and all thy slumbers with the just. Maryland, my Maryland.
And the horse is on the track for the 129th running of the Preakness Stakes, $1 million guaranteed for 3-year-olds at a distance of 1 mile and 3/16, a 1/16 of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby. Pat Chapman in anticipation as the horses begin their post parade for this race. There's Eddington making his way out under Jerry Bailey. who had to pass on a Derby ride when Wimbledon. His mount was scratched by Bob Baffert in a couple of days before the race. And number 1 is Lionheart, a $1.4 million two-year-old, and he won all 3 of his races last year at 2, and this year in 3 races he's finished second each time, including second by 2 3/4 lengths to Smarty Jones in the Derby. Mike Smith aboard Lionheart. Number 2, Borrego. That means horns in Spanish. He has a couple of calcium deposits on his head that kind of look like horns. You know, he won't even officially be 3 years old until 2 days from now, foaled on May 17th. See, Bo Greeley is the part breeder, part owner, and the trainer of Borrego, who was 10th in the Derby. Little Math Man, a long shot, is the 3-horse. Like Smarty Jones, based at Philadelphia Park. Like Funny Side in New York, bred, displaced his palate in the Wood Memorial his last start when he finished 7th. The Cliff's Edge, the 4, was scratched. 5 is Song of the Sword under Jorge Chavez. Jennifer Peterson, the trainer. In fact, there are 3 female trainers today in the Preakness. First time that's ever happened. In the Derby, Song of the Sword ran 11th at 56-1. Sir Shackleton, named for Sir Ernest Shackleton, the British explorer. In 1914, his ship Endurance was frozen solid in the Antarctic for 10 months. He took an open boat 800 miles to safety. They hope Sir Shackleton can do the same. First trip around 2 turns, he won the Derby trial. Rafael Bejarano leads the nation in wins. There's Smarty Jones. You know the story by now. 7 for 7, trying to join Seattle Slew and Majestic Prince as the only horses to ever win both the Derby and the Preakness while undefeated. Number 8, Imperialism, who had the shoe replaced a few moments ago. Seems like bad luck is following Imperialism around these days after the tough trip in the Derby where he ran 3rd. He's the most experienced horse in the field. This will be his 17th start, 3rd in the Derby. One time he ran in a maiden claiming race, but young 21-year-old Kristen Mulhall's done a wonderful job with him. Number 9 is Eddington under Jerry Bailey. Eddington in the Wood Memorial ran 3rd, as we showed you earlier. Mark Hennig is the trainer of Eddington. Number 10 is Rock Hard 10. Madeline Paulson, one of the owners, said he was so beautiful. If a man can be a 10, he's a rock hard 10. He is beautiful, huge horse. He's only had 3 starts, and he's had 6 weeks since his last one, the Santa Anita Derby, when he ran under the wire 2nd but was disqualified for 3rd. He's won 2 of his lifetime 3 races. And number 11 is the home team, Water Cannon. Since trainer Linda Albert put the blinkers on him, he's been unbeaten. His first 6 starts, he didn't win a race. His last 5 with the blinkers, he's won them all, including the Tessio Stakes over this Pimlico track, the only horse that has a winning ride over this racetrack. And that's the field for the 129th running of the Preakness Stakes. Smarty Jones carrying the hopes of the Philly faithful in the Preakness.
Philly's a tough town.
Did you get your sausage?
Philly loves an underdog. Philly just loves that kind of winner, and he's a winner.
We are the city of champions, but it just seems like we're due.
We're not used to winning that much.
Really hope he wins the Preakness. Wouldn't that be great?
He looks like he can really do it.
We have a triple crown possibility in Philadelphia. I mean, who would have thunk that?
Smarty Jones, Smarty Jones, yeah. Since the day he was bred, all they ever said was Smarty Jones, Smarty Jones. This collie made some dough by winning 6 in a row. John Service said to Stewie, just sit and let him roll. There was a roar from the crowd. You couldn't hear a sound, so they laid their money down. Now they're looking for the crown. Smarty Jones, ooh, yeah. Smarty Jones, yeah, yeah. Since the day he was bred, all they ever said was Smarty Jones. Thank you.
Bob Costas back at Pimlico, just minutes away now from the 129th running of the Preakness Stakes. As has been noted, there has been no Triple Crown winner since affirmed in 1978, and it appears that the public is jonesing for another chance. 5 of the last 7 years, including the last 2, and last year with Funny Side. A horse has in fact won the Derby and the Preakness, only to come up short in the Belmont. Will it be 6 of 8? Will Smarty Jones put himself in that position and then look to the Belmont 3 weeks hence? We'll find out shortly, but the public believes in him. He's at 3 to 5 right now. Back upstairs to Tom and Charleston.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. There is Smarty Jones. Looks quiet and composed right now. The odds, as you see, 3 to 5 on Smarty Jones. There are actually 3 horses vying for second favorite at 6-1. Lionheart, Imperialism, and Rock Hard 10 all at 6-1 on the board behind the favorite Smarty Jones, who also was the favorite in the Kentucky Derby, where they bet overwhelmingly on Smarty Jones at Philadelphia Park that day, as they did at Oaklawn Park, where Smarty had won the Arkansas Derby. Look at that. The party is underway. They just hope it continues for a while longer if their favorite can get home today in the Preakness. And trainer John Service, again, probably feeling the butterflies, talking to Chappie. You remember that moment after the Derby when Chappie Chapman raised his arms above his head and then had to sit down and get his breath, as he said. He only has about 20% function in his lungs due to emphysema, has an oxygen bottle always nearby, and he was, as he said, nearly overcome as he watched his horse win the Kentucky Derby.
The Chapmans have been involved in steeplechasing before now, and they're probably the only people in the world who can claim to have won the Maryland Hunt Cup and the Kentucky Derby.
Well,
what a double.
Like they had the Preakness from the Maryland connections
exactly.
as well.
And a good chance. Look at Smarty. He's such a cool, calm professional. Here's a horse who's never run the same distance twice. And he doesn't have to carry his racetrack around with him. He proved that in Kentucky when he ran over that gooey track. And this is the 5th state he's competed in. Whatever the question is, he seems to have the answer.
John Service saying after that accident in the gate, that terrible accident where he fractured his skull, he has been very professional, much more mature. Well, there's one of the new horses with Jerry Bailey aboard, Eddington.
Well, he sort of harkens back to Red Bullet, if you remember the horse who put the stops on Fusaichi Pegasus. There are a lot of eerie similarities. They're both by Unbridled. They both have almost identically same race records. They started in New York, campaigned in Florida, went to the Gotham Wood. They came here under Jerry Bailey, and of course, Eddington hopes to be just like Red Bullet and being the spoiler on another Derby-winning favorite here at the Preakness.
And, of course, when we were making our selections, Donna Brothers didn't get a chance to make hers. Donna, who do you like in the Preakness?
Well, Tom, you can count me in on the Smarty party. I just can't see any reason why this horse can't win this race again. I realize they say speed hasn't been holding, but I think Smarty Jones has shown that he can come from off the pace, and he might have to in this race. But count me in, Tom. I'm in the Smarty party.
All right. Donna, now let me ask you about the track, because the speed horses have struggled both yesterday and to a lesser extent today. What are the jockeys telling you about the condition of the track and how it might affect the front runners, thinking of Lionheart, Sir Shackleton, and Smarty Jones in particular?
Well, I did talk to Mike Smith earlier because, as we mentioned, he is the controlling speed of the race, and he said the only horses that have won on the lead in the last couple of days have gone in 25 for the first quarter. Lionheart's never gone in 25 for the first quarter, but he's a runner, and a lot of times runners overcome track biases, but certainly it has favored the horses that come from just off the pace because speed doesn't seem to be holding if it goes very fast, Tom.
Well, there's Lionheart in the #1 post. And only one horse from the #1 post has won the Preakness in the last 43 years.
Patrick Biancombe said an interesting thing after the Kentucky Derby. He saw the race today. The Preakness is a rematch between Smarty Jones and Lionheart. He said the winner would be the horse who came out of the Kentucky Derby the best. Lionheart has certainly looked well here, but John Service feels that Smarty Jones is pretty much at his best. He said he might be a notch below where he was before the Kentucky Derby. He feels that Smarty is vulnerable today. He said all top three finishers in the Kentucky Derby could be a little vulnerable today after that effort.
There's Smarty, and of course we saw Imperialism lose his shoe earlier. And Kristen Mulhall stood by while the blacksmith reapplied the shoe. How much might that hurt, or not at all?
Well, you certainly don't want to have it happen. And actually, Kristen had an unpleasant experience recently where a paddock blacksmith tacked a shoe back on down in Kentucky, and he got it with a high nail, and the horse was a little lame and didn't run well. So it's not what you want to see happen, to have a strange blacksmith shoeing your horse, and you certainly don't want it happening before a Grade 1 Classic.
And, of course, proceedings were delayed a bit by that Imperialism losing his shoe, and so they want to give him ample time to warm up before the race is run. So things running a little bit behind schedule because of the delay to reshoe Imperialism.
Well, we're looking here at Imperialism, and he wouldn't even be here if it hadn't been for the extreme pressure Kent DeSormo put on. He knows Pimlico well. He's 5 times been leading rider here. His career started here in Maryland, and he guaranteed both Kristen and owner Steve Cobb if they would bring Imperialism here to Pimlico, he would win the next 2 legs of the Triple Crown. So he's got a lot riding on him today.
One of the new horses, of course, Rock Hard 10, the very inexperienced horse. And he is an eyeful, Charles C. We'll get a shot of Rock Hard 10 here in a moment. as we continue to track Imperialism there in his final warm-ups. But Rock Hard 10, as they make their way now, lining up to come to the starting gate.
Rock
is there he is a picture book.
Oh, he's a gorgeous horse. He's huge, and he's a good mover, and he's just beautiful. And as we've said, he's just a bundle of talent. Many horsemen in California said he was the best of the crop. And obviously, he didn't get much of a chance to go. But Rock Hard 10 and Eddington both are huge, big, gorgeous horses who trained most impressively here this week.
And Smarty Jones now at 3-5. You mentioned Red Bullet passing the Derby and then beating Fusaichi Pegasus, who was a big favorite here in 2000. Lionheart now is the second choice at 5-1, and he is the first to load. There he is, number 1 under Mike Smith, Lionheart, and his trainer Patrick Bianco. And number 2 will go in. That's Borrego, trying to improve on his 10th place finish at Churchill Downs. The 3 horses, Little Math Man, outsider, but based at Philadelphia Park, trying to catch a little of that magic.
He had a little breathing problem in the Wood Memorial and should bounce back to his good form going around 2 turns.
Song of the Sword, sort of a surprise entry after a poor run at Churchill Downs, thinking he didn't like the track. There's the horse of the hour, Smarty Jones, going in, trying to go 8 for 8 and head to the Belmont for the Visa Triple Crown. Can he do it? John Service, Pat Chapman, Chappie Chapman hopes so. Imperialism goes in. Total of 10 with the scratching of the Cliff's Edge. 1 mile and 3/16, the 129th Preakness to give you the call. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
And the final horses moving into line. There is the local hero, Water Cannon, the only horse ever to race over the Pimlico track. Indeed, he won over the Pimlico track. Nonetheless, he is 35-1 as they take their place in the starting gate. Rock Hard 10 just a little reluctant to move into the starting gate. This might be the biggest Preakness field I've ever called. No, not in numbers. I mean, there's just 10, but there are some big horses in there. And Rock Hard 10, the biggest of them all, he's a big old boy. And there's some other big horses in there as well as Borrego and Eddington. And Rock Hard 10 giving the assistant starters a little trouble. They're being a little gentle with him right now. They don't want to get too concerned. The head man here at the starting gate is Bruce Wagner, starting his second Preakness Stakes. There's Rock Hard 10 and Gary Stevens. Hopes he gets in the gate pretty quickly because he's got a plane to catch here pretty soon. They're backing Imperialism out of the gate. And now he moves back into his post position, number 8. As far as tactics go here, well, Lionheart, he'd love to get to that lead. The first quarter mile here is very key at Pimlico. They've got a quarter-mile run into the turn. And now they've opened up the stall, the front gates of the starting stall. Sometimes that will give horses a little more confidence to move into the starting gate. Donna's out there, and Donna, what do you get from your horse side view?
Well, as you mentioned, Tom, Rock Hard 10 has been a little reluctant to load. They do have a shank over his nose, and they try to open the front doors, as you mentioned, but he still was reluctant to load. They do what they call a lock and load, where the starters will join hands behind a horse's rear end and try to push him into the gate. But Rock Hard 10 has kicked every single time they've tried to do that. Now Gary Stevens is dismounted, and I think they're going to try to load Rock Hard 10 without the rider on and maybe have a little bit more luck.
These horses, the assistant starters, they really have to be more psychologists than strongmen here, because especially Rock Hard 10, this horse probably weighs about 1,200 pounds. No. And if he does not want to go in, they're going to have a real difficult time doing it. But now they're going to resort to some physical force to move him in the starting gate, pushing, pulling. About 5 guys taking to do it. The other horses are standing in remarkably good order, and with a little oomph from assistant starters, they are in the gate. Now a Water Cannon will have to move into line, and we'll be ready for the start. Finally, the 129th Preakness Stakes. They are in the gate. And they're off. Smarty Jones gets off to a good beginning. Little Math Man was shuffled back. So too was Sir Shackleton. Lionheart down toward the inside. Smarty Jones comes away with the narrow lead. But there goes Lionheart with his typical early tack. And Mike Smith is angling him out as they head for the clubhouse turn, forcing Smarty Jones a little out into the track. Uncharacteristic speed from Imperialism, who's right up on the pace today. He's running third as they move into the clubhouse turn, but he's very wide. Smith really taking them out there into the track. Song of the Sword saves gone all the way. He's running along in fourth.
Sir Shackleton, shuffled back early, is 5th. Eddington 6th in and among horses. Rock Hard 10 is under a hard hold early. 4 wide round the clubhouse turn. And down toward the inside, it is Borrego. Water Cannon at the back of the pack today, and Little Math Man. 23 and 3 for the opening quarter, and Lionheart is loose on the lead down the backstretch run. 47 and 1 over the deep track at Pimlico today for the opening half mile. So it is Lionheart in front, and the Derby winner, Smarty Jones, runs along in second. Jorge Chavez moving early with Song of the Sword with 5 furlongs to go. They're running along in third. Imperialism is in the clear, and the far outside he's 4th. Sir Shackleton is 5th. Jerry Bailey wants more from Eddington. He's not getting it yet. And there goes Rock Hard 10, who rolls up on the outside and around the far turn. Mike Smith is giving Smarty Jones the rail. He remains well off the rail with 3 furlongs to go on Lionheart. An inviting opening on the inside for Smarty Jones. And Rock Hard 10 is uncoiling that massive stride of his. He is 3rd as they come to the top of the stretch. And as they hit the top of the stretch, Smarty Jones has taken the lead. It is Smarty Jones in front. Lionheart doing his best, but he's 2nd. Rock Hard 10 is 3rd as they come into the final furlong of the 129th Preakness. And it is Smarty Jones. He's pulling away. He's pulling away to win impressively here. Rock Hard 10 2nd on the inside. He's going to win by a colossal margin. Here is Smarty Jones. He wins the Preakness by a dozen lengths. He remains undefeated, and it's on to Belmont. This Philadelphia story continues its magical way to the elusive Triple Crown. Rock Hard 10 was 2nd. It was close for 3rd. The final time was 1 minute 55 and 2/5 seconds. This is special.
Oh, did he ever do it? Smarty Jones, the Philly Flyer, turned the Preakness into a runaway. No problem. Stuart Elliott said, let's go, big fella. And they rolled home to win the Preakness and now set sail for Belmont Park and the Belmont Stakes, and a chance for racing history as 3 weeks from now, hopefully they'll take to the gate for the Belmont Stakes. Wow, Smarty Jones and Stuart Elliott devastating the field. Donna Brothers is riding his normal pony, Butterscotch. That's the horse that goes with Smarty Jones to the track every day. He looks like he's happy too, Donna.
Stuart, this was an amazing performance by Smarty Jones today. Tell me about it.
He's just unbelievable. He just keeps getting better, this son of a gun. I mean, he just did it so easy.
So tell me about that. Well, it looks like as he's gotten older, he rates better. He does everything you ask him to do better. Is he getting better or more mature or both?
I think a little bit of everything. He's just figuring everything out. He's learned to settle, and he's just really getting it together.
Stuart, all day long, Speed has been having trouble on this track. You laid 2nd in the race. Did you ride your race to accommodate the track or the horse?
Well, you know, I was a little bit concerned about the track, but my horse has his way of running, and I didn't want to drag him back. I just rode him with confidence, and he did the running. He just galloped.
Speaking of confidence, in the Derby, you went around Lionheart. Today, you decided to jump to the inside of him. What prompted that decision?
Well, in the Derby, I see Mike having trouble, and he was able to get him back. When he didn't get him back around the first turn, I figured he might never get him back. So I cut to the inside. There was plenty of room. So I figured I'd save some ground just in case anybody was coming on.
Stuart, did you get a little portion of the $5 million bonus after the Kentucky Derby? And if you did, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to save it for if I get old.
I don't think that's going to happen. Doesn't look like Smarty Jones is going to get old either. Congratulations, Stuart. We go to Kenny Rice.
Mr. and Mrs. Chapman are now making their way to the escalator. Worked out a game plan. If Smarty Jones had won, he would come straight back. The Chapmans would.